everyone, this is Judy from HYPIA, and today I'll be interviewing Pavel. Hi, Pavel.
Hi, Judy.
How are you?
I'm well, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good as well, thank you. So today we'll be talking about languages. So first of all, I would like to ask if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Pavel Golenistsev. I'm from Estonia originally. I currently live in London. I work as an organizational psychologist and an independent consultant with various businesses, supporting them with talent assessment and employee engagement related questions.
Mm. Okay. And you're also a language guy, so could you also tell us about your languages? What are the languages that you speak?
Yeah, so my mother tongue is Russian, and then I speak Estonian, English, Spanish, French, Catalan, uh, Portuguese, and Turkish at a conversational level.
Wow. That's a mixture of very different languages, I feel like. Estonian, Russian, and then you got into Romance languages, and then Turkish, which is completely different. So, could you tell us about your language background? What got you into language learning, first of all?
Yeah, sure. So, coming from Estonia, a very small country, we start learning different languages early on, since the age of 5, since the age of 7, and I was coming from a minority in Estonia, from a
Mhm.
Russian family, speaking both Russian and Estonian from early age, studying them at school, and then also starting with English from first grade at school. So already exposed to three languages. Then,
Mhm.
in my teens, when I started traveling in Europe, I became interested in learning Spanish, and I picked up a little bit of Spanish on my own and then started learning it and just sort of finding the interest in exploring a completely new language
Mhm.
and learning a bit more of Romance languages then. With Spanish, I then focused some more on Catalan and on French in high school, taking on more focus for Romance languages and learning that. At university, I did a course in Spanish and also did some beginner Arabic at that time.
Wow.
Um, and then just started exploring the languages. This is something that's always been very interesting for me. And then I like to say that with Romance languages in particular, with similar
Mhm.
languages, it's like you learn three languages, you get fourth one half price. So I also picked
Yeah.
up a little bit of Portuguese.
Yeah.
I can communicate in Italian, although I don't count it as actually speaking the language. But I guess something that I've noticed in my journey with languages is that when we enjoy it, when we learn those languages, with the pleasure of learning and exploring new cultures, that's when it's just really good fun and very enjoyable. There are many other languages I speak a little bit of, or I can have a basic conversation in that I don't count as languages I speak, but I'm always interested in exploring different languages.
Okay. Was there anything specific about the Spanish culture that you were attracted to?
Mhm. Yeah, I I think living in a like through cold Estonian winters,
Yeah.
I was just like really wanted to learn like a language that was associated with sunshine and like a sunny culture.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember like sitting there like in my teens and like trying to figure out how to learn language on my own, trying to figure out like all the complex Spanish conjugations and whatnot. And just really enjoying the sound of it, feeling how different it was from the languages I already spoke, and just really wanting to make it work and learning it.
Oh, okay. And you decided to major in Spanish also?
Yeah, I did my undergraduate studies in international relations and Spanish language. And during my undergrad studies, I also went for a year abroad in Granada, in Spain, which
I
was
see.
great for picking up Spanish.
Oh, and after that, you started learning other Romance languages?
Mhm. Um, I started learning French already in high school,
Yeah.
and uh, I'm not like very good at it at the moment. It's quite rusty, but at different points, I tried learning more of it. For example, in the first 2 years after university, when I was starting my career in consulting in London, I decided to uh, join the Toastmasters Club, this club
Mm,
where you
yeah.
learn public speaking.
Hmm.
And for the extra challenge, I found myself a club that was in French. Even though I wasn't comfortable speaking French, I just thought, you know what? I will learn public speaking in French so that I put myself through more stress and practice French in the meantime. And that really helped because since then, like whenever I have to make a speech in English or in Russian, it feels so much easier than French.
Right.
But also, it was a great experience over there. So, sort of, whenever there is a opportunity to learn a language or practice it some way, I try to take it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my question is more of a professional one. So you majored in international relations and Spanish, and then you later became a organizational psychologist. So how did you make that change?
Yeah. Uh, through my studies in international relations, I did a course in psychology of international security. That was fascinating, and I always had an
Oh.
interest in psychology. So I applied for a master's in organizational and social psychology in
Mhm.
London, and then decided to pursue career in that area, becoming an expert in employee engagement and talent assessment.
Well, and how do you like it?
I enjoy it. I love it a lot. I get to work with fascinating organizations. I work
Mhm.
both with startups, with middle-sized and with large corporations. I get to speak different languages, like the client I currently
Oh,
work with. I get to speak Spanish with some of the colleagues from Spain and Latin America in there, and that's amazing. And there are also
wow.
many other cultures, or I can bring in that sort of cultural or linguistic understanding to some of the conversations. So
Yeah.
I still get a chance to use my languages whenever I can. Or sometimes it's just breaking ice and greeting someone or congratulating them on a holiday in their language.
Oh, yeah. So you say talent assessment, right?
Mhm.
And does that mean you assess what individuals have as talents or
Yeah. Yes, sort of. So by talent assessment, it's a very HR term that I've used. What we mean by that is measuring different competencies and behaviors that help individuals succeed in their jobs. In particular,
oh,
we're looking at questions like, does the individual have the right skills to be an effective manager or a people
mm,
leader? Can they think in terms of big picture? Can they create a sense of psychological safety and
yeah.
trust in the environment? How comfortable are they delegating some work? And for that, there's also element of language because we need to create assessment and evaluation tools to measure that. And we need to work with language, we need to craft language to make sure that we are measuring psychological constructs effectively.
Oh, so you make psychological assessment tools? Do you do that
Uh,
also?
I work with psychometric assessments,
Yeah.
so like occupational personality questionnaire and Hogan assessments. I work with them, helping organizations understand how can they measure different aspects of employee personality and how suitable those people will be for different senior roles in their companies.
Okay. So you told me that languages help you in your career. So
Mhm.
that's good. And is there any other reason why you keep learning languages?
I just really enjoy the intellectual challenge of it. Like last year, I started learning Welsh just because it was so different from everything I've learned before. And
Mhm.
before that, I started learning a bit of Arabic, a bit of Mandarin Chinese, Greek, and they're all fascinating because some of the words you see connections with other languages. Like right now, I'm uh, trying to pick up a little bit of Hindi, and you see connections between different languages that were affected by Proto-Indo-European language. And it's just this sort of challenge when you have to restructure your brain. With Welsh, for example, I had to learn completely different ways of saying something, completely
Oh,
different structures. And it's like understanding the poetry behind the
hmm.
language, the logic behind the
Wow.
language, and understanding that we as human beings, we all come from very diverse backgrounds, yet there are still some of the feelings and emotions we experience that are universal. And then we come up with very different ways of expressing that. And we still somehow manage to express that in very different ways. Sometimes they match, sometimes they don't, but somehow languages bring it all together and they develop in such fascinating ways. I just really find it all very mysterious, fascinating, and I can't get enough of learning more about it.
Okay. And how did you find out about HYPIA?
At some point, I really felt I really thought that okay, like people sometimes like ask me what languages do I speak. I don't normally like introduce myself as a polyglot or something like that, but eventually people will ask what languages you speak, and then they reply like, "Oh, that's interesting," or that's weird. And you sort of think that it's like a curiosity thing. And I
Yeah.
started wondering, there must be many more people like me who are just learning languages for the fun of it. Because before that, I only spoke with people who would think that it's just like a weird thing to do to learn so many languages, and you don't really need to do that. So I did a simple Google search and checked like what are the
Oh,
communities of polyglots out there, and I found
oh.
HYPIA and I got in touch with it, and I
Oh.
really wanted to be a part of community of other
Oh.
nerds like me who are interested in languages, and I was so happy to be part of it. It was so
Oh.
exciting to join the HYPIA WhatsApp chat and just see how many conversations there are in many like in 10 different languages at the same time, and I love that.
Yeah, you found the right group. Have you been to any of the gatherings or polyglot conferences?
I've been to two polyglot conferences so far. Yes, I've been to the ones organized by Richard. I went
Yeah.
to one in Hungary, in
Oh,
and the
last
one
year?
in Valletta last year. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and
Malta.
I'm hoping to go to the one in Taipei this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. And so you learned all these languages, and do you have any special secrets to your language learning methods?
hmm Um, I think it's very different from person to person. Uh, in my view, grammar is very important, and I understand that some people find grammar very boring. Personally, I enjoy grammar and just reading grammar books a lot. I think that, in my view, we can prioritize grammar over vocabulary. So I don't think we need to learn words like I don't know, like different names of fruits or different names of colors, even whatever, in a language to start speaking it. But we can just get by learning basic grammar, and then we can describe so many things as this place or that thing, and we can have conversation much more comfortably. So, in my view, prioritizing grammar over vocabulary can be a very good starting point to start speaking the language and then picking up words
Okay.
as they come. That's how it's worked for me best.
And do you take courses to learn grammar or?
Uh, so sometimes I use apps to work with tutors. I use Preply a lot. I really
Mhm.
like it. I used it a lot for different languages, and I found a great tutor in uh, to study Greek in there, and I picked up Greek to a decent level from there. And I also use online apps lately as well. ChatGPT. Other generative AI has been very helpful for that. Sometimes I would use the ChatGPT audio function, and then we just chat with ChatGPT in like 8 or 10 different languages and practice my speaking and understanding in that way. So that's been great.
Yeah, ChatGPT is very helpful. Yeah. And would you like to learn any other languages in the future?
hmm Yeah. So the way I do it is that I have 1 or 2 languages I'm focusing on, and
Mhm.
then different languages that I have different level at, and I'm sort of just a little bit picking up so that I can later take them on from the level of some familiarity already. So right now I'm focusing on Welsh and Greek, and I'm picking up a little bit of Hindi and Thai, uh, just doing maybe like 10-minute revision every day on those. And in the future, I would like to improve on my knowledge of Japanese, Mandarin Chinese, and Arabic.
Korean.
And I would love to learn from zero Persian,
Mhm.
Serbian, and uh, maybe some very small language that is at risk of extinction. I'd love to learn like one of those
Oh,
languages that's completely different at some point.
okay. And have you thought about learning Korean?
I have thought about learning Korean,
Yeah.
yes. Are you
I'm
from
Korean, yes.
Korean? Yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't know much about Korean language at this point, but I'd definitely be interested in learning it in the future. Yes.
Okay. And this is just this comes from my lack of knowledge, but Estonian and Russian, are they very different?
They are very different languages, yeah.
Oh.
They're very different language groups, very different grammar systems. Uh, Actually, for language learners, I'd say that Estonian grammar is quite fascinating. It has 14 cases. It has
Wow.
2 different infinitives for each verb, and like many different things that are uh, quite distinct for it. But Estonian is a beautiful language, and I'm very glad to be able to speak it. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so, like from the linguistic standpoint, just being able to appreciate a very different sound and the grammar
Mhm.
structure in it.
Yeah. So my last question is, do you have any tips for language learners?
hmm Yes, definitely. I'd say be careful relying on any particular app. For
Hmm.
example, we know that Duolingo is very famous, and there are other ways for learning languages, other apps that are popular. Consider each one of those apps as one of the tools helping you to learn the language. I often see people who are they may have like a 3-year streak on Duolingo or another app,
Yeah.
and they say that they're learning the language, but actually they cannot really use that language effectively.
Hmm.
So we need to be careful. Yes, it's a great start to start learning with apps like that, but we should also be aware that that's not all there is to language learning. And to actually start learning it, we need to step out of our comfort zones and actually start practicing it with people. So that's very important. And then also finding your own style. There are people who say they can learn the language by just listening to movies and watching subtitles in their language. I personally don't understand how they can do that, but maybe that works for them. Uh, Finding your own way of learning languages is very helpful. As a sort of a pro tip for those who are already proficient in several languages, or maybe they want to learn a third language and practice their second language, that can be finding a tutor who can
Yep.
support them, but who can teach them in the second language they want to practice. For
Um,
example, my Greek tutor, we speak Turkish with her. That's
wow.
this way I get to learn Greek from zero while also practicing and have Turkish and having it corrected. Or at some point,
Mm.
I was focusing more on Japanese with a teacher from Brazil. This way, I
Mm.
could practice my Portuguese while learning Japanese at the basic level. And that can be a very helpful way to sort of learn two languages
You
in
need
one
polyglot
class.
teachers.
Yeah,
Polyglot
yeah.
teachers.
And
Yeah.
actually, platforms like Preply, they are very good for that. Like Preply or italki,
Italki. Yeah.
yeah, they're great for that
Yeah.
because you can find like a native language of a tutor and what languages they teach, and combinations like that can be great.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So that'll be it for our interview today. Thank you so much for your time, and we will speak soon.
Thanks a lot, Judy. Great to speak with you.
Thank you.